We're live.
Well, hello and welcome to the Waking Up Spiritually podcast. We're so glad to have you here. I'm Wendy Rose Williams, and with my co-host Gregg Kirk, we've got an interesting topic for you today. So our podcast is about, just like the name implies, waking up spiritually. And because Gregg Kirk and I both had some profound experiences in that area, that's why we created this support system for people. And you can go to wakingupspiritually.com and see our podcasts there. They're all archived and you can search by topic. What I do is I am a past life energy healer and I help people release energy that no longer serves them. Often past life energy can show up as chronic pain, both physical and emotional, anxiety or depression, or just that feeling of not being able to align with your purpose or not being able to move forward, just feeling stuck. So we're here to help with all those wonderful things for you, and so appreciate you joining us. So I'll turn it over to my co-host, Gregg Kirk, at this time.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gregg Kirk. I can be found at greggkirk.com. That's spelled GREGGKIRK.com. I'm trained in Reiki. I do energy healing both in person and remotely. I've been through a Lyme disease treatment journey and help patients with herbal treatments as well. But I've also been helping patients with energy healing. So people who are stuck in treatment, people who've had any kinds of trauma or ongoing anxieties, the energy healing has really helped. And in fact, in November, I'll be speaking at a Lyme conference in Connecticut called Lyme Bites on November 11th. And I'll be one of the few practitioners talking about how energy healing has been used as an adjunct to traditional and alternative Lyme treatments, and how I'm doing some case studies on some patients who have gone into remission. So cool stuff there. I'll talk more about that as that comes up. But right now, let's bring up our topic today. Now, before I bring the deck up, I just want everybody to know, Wendy and I, a couple of weeks ago, did a broadcast. It was our first Spiritual Myth Breakers episode that we did, and where we do 3 topics and we kind of analyze them, beat them up, give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down based upon our experiences, based upon books we've read, based upon other messages from the guides, etc. Now, one of the topics, in fact, it might have been our very first topic, was life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. And that opened up a bunch of discussion on all of our social media channels. And it has warranted us doing a full topic, more or less, just on that. So let me pull this up, Wendy. Whoops.
Perfect. And while Greg's doing that, I'll invite you, you're welcome to visit my website, which is wendyrosewilliams.com. And there you'll see how to contact me via the Contact Me tab. And I offer ongoing 1-hour energy clearings and blessings for people as a group Zoom call, as well as Q&A. So you're welcome to sign up for those at no cost on the website, as well as read more about the 3-session offerings that I have that are one-on-one paid sessions. So back to our PowerPoint here. So for those of you who are listening, that is wonderful, but this is a visual podcast. And if you want to take a peek at the PowerPoints that we prepare, you can look at our YouTube channel for Waking Up Spiritually, or again, via the website, which is wakingupspiritually.com. So however you like to get your information, we're just so pleased and grateful to have you join us.
Okay, here we go. Are you able to see this, Wendy?
Yes.
Okay. Had some technical difficulties going on, but we're good now. Spiritual surrender. So here, Wendy.
And let's start with an angelic energy clearing and blessing. Just as I just mentioned, I always do at the start of any program or any session with clients. So you're welcome to just get comfortable. If you are driving a car, you're going to want to do this when you're not driving. So just get comfortable in your seat. If you're able to lie down, if you want to just take a deep calming breath in, take your glasses off, whatever you need to do to be comfortable. And I'm going to invite in the angels. Thank you, angels, for sweeping your nets up through the core of Mother Earth and through everyone's various bodies, the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional bodies, the relationship bodies, romantic bodies, financial bodies, creative bodies, subtle bodies, or please sweep your nets through all of our bodies, taking with you any energy that does not serve us, any energy that's ours in combination with someone else's, energy we've outgrown, no longer have a divine need for. Please take it up to the light for healing now. We'd be so grateful for that. Please help our higher selves be fully in our bodies, wonderfully grounded to a gracious Mother Earth. Let's do that twice more. Thank you, angels, for sweeping your nets up to the core of Mother Earth and through all of our homes and properties, aligning our beautiful homes and the land where we live so that it is a sanctuary for us. It's uplifting for us. It's a wonderful, safe, happy, pleasant place that we can be, that we create, that's a reflection of us, and we're a reflection of it. So thank you for aligning our homes and properties, not only for the listeners to this call, but for family members, friends who might visit there regularly, as well as for our animal companions. And let's give a thank you to a gracious Mother Earth for the property and the land that our homes are on. One more time. Thank you, angels, for sweeping your nets up through the core of Mother Earth and through our emotions. Yes, we get the privilege of experiencing many wonderful, uplifting emotions. But please sweep your nets through those emotions that have had something to teach us, and where we've now learned the lesson, done our best to learn the lesson, feel it to heal it, and are just ready to let go of that annoyance, anger, exhaustion, jealousy, whatever lower vibration energy that is not overwhelm, lack of clarity, whatever is not serving us, anxiety, sadness, depression, whatever's not serving us, please take it with you and send it down our grounding cords so that we may become more fully present to the present moment, present day and time, letting the past be the past and remembering that was then and this is now. Each day is a fresh day. Each day is a clean slate, and just be able to do that from not only day to day, but moment to moment, letting go of and surrendering whatever does not serve us, sending it down our grounding cords to a gracious Mother Earth, and she will transmute it into something useful. She likes to make things like anger and exhaustion into fish food, which I think is super cool to watch and just feed those hungry fish out in the oceans and various bodies of water. Thank you, angels. It is done. So be it. So when you're ready, you can gently come back into your body, feeling wonderful, refreshed, renewed, rejuvenated, and we will continue with the discussion.
Okay. So here's the actual slide we had from our discussion on the Spiritual Myth Breakers episode a few weeks ago, or a few months ago. Life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. All life experiences, even the most miserable, are ultimately pointing you to a better outcome. So this is a difficult concept to grasp or comprehend, especially for people who are in the middle of something like a disaster. What they're feeling, that's their perspective, the disaster. And it can be painful. I mean, you can be going through an injury, a car wreck, or something like that. And this is your opportunity. As Tom Kenyon says, he's look up Tom Kenyon, tomkenyon.com. He's fantastic.
Sound healer, energy healer.
Exactly. And he calls these FGOs. So the GO stands for growth opportunity. I think you know what F stands for. So he, realizing that his guides have told him every one of these contrast experiences, that's another way. The contrast is a word from Esther Hicks. Does the law of attraction, and she's a channeler. These are all, that's the perspective is, this is a bump in the road for you. This is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to react in a different way, not in the way that you reacted previously. This is your opportunity to break a cycle. This is an opportunity for you to come out of this in a better place. The other thing is that these FGOs usually are pushing you sometimes violently or gently into a different area, always a better place. But the one thing that can really screw it up is your point of view. Your belief system, your mental thinking can slow that down or completely block it. So if something happens to you that you don't like, for instance, in my situation, I got Lyme disease. And of course, the first thing I did was think, why me? Why did this happen to me? What did I do? And I started poring over, when did I get bitten by a tick? And I started to let it ruin my life. Now, of course, the symptoms were enabling me to continue thinking that way. But once I pulled back from this and realized, this is a strange thing that happened to me. What's this really about? I started to look at the lessons, and I started to look at the opportunities in my life this was actually affording me. Not only that, it was pushing me from an unhealthy lifestyle that I'd been in. So this got down to the detail level of changing my diet, changing my lifestyle, changing the things I put in my body, both, from an intestinal point of view to, what I look at on the TV and the movies, social media. It became a full lifestyle change for me, so that I can honestly say, after going through that really, really tough experience, that I am grateful for that trial by fire or baptism of fire, whatever you want to call it, because it burnt away the stuff in my life that didn't serve me anymore. I didn't realize it at the time. It was tough letting those things go. I thought my life was burning to the ground, but after I remained, after not burning up, I looked at the things that around me that I still valued, and then I looked at the things that started coming into my life that I was now attracting because I was a different person, and those opportunities just flew to me. And so that's basically now, hindsight, looking back at all this. Of course, I wrote a book about it called The Gratitude Curve that describes all this in vivid detail. And the punchline is the gratitude curve is I'm grateful for all this. If you would have told me in 2007 when I started writing it, because I thought it was going to be my epitaph, that I didn't think I was going to live through it, that I would be grateful for it. I would, I wouldn't have had kind words to say, and I probably would have tried to choke you. But now, honestly, I look back at the situation and think, wow, yeah, it wasn't easy. It was very painful. I lost hope. But honestly, some of those steps of losing hope, but still continuing and regaining your hope is such an amazing energetic shift for you, that when you experience those kind of things, like I said, all the things you want or all the things that you need start flying towards you. So, Wendy,
Yes, I think you just said so much there, Gregg, that's really meaningful. I love the gratitude curve, because it's not like you had a year or two journey with Lyme disease. Wasn't it more like a decade?
Yeah.
And when we feel like our life is burning to the ground, it is. It really is. But as you said, to try and find the grace in it, the humility in it, what could this possibly be in here for me? I think that's where you took your personal power back. And I'm sure that was very hard to do, and moved out of that victim place, moved out of that martyrdom place that is understandably very easy to get pushed into when there's a life-threatening disease going on, or when there's incredible chronic pain, whether it's physical or emotional or anxiety or depression or any of those things that can truly be just crippling. But we all know the people that have got just the most incredible best attitudes. I had the joy of having a nanny named Lucy from when I was born until I was 4 years old. And she was just one of those people, and just everyone wanted to be around her because she was just so happy, just so caring and giving, and frankly had a pretty challenging life and not a lot of advantages, as the term can be can be used in different ways, but just she just found a way to be a really happy person. And I think that's why she was living her best life.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
It's all about perspective. She was
yes,
rich in other ways or successful in other ways, outside the standard of American
yes,
dream kind of perspective.
yes, exactly, exactly. And also, I think what we resist just persists. So if we're being super stubborn and either are not getting the messages that our higher self and guides, or very well-meaning friends or family members might be trying to point out to us, gee, maybe you really need to consider this change. If you're hearing that from multiple people that have got a kind heart and a good perspective, maybe we really need to listen, especially when it keeps coming up, even though we might think it's a FGO. Now that I have a new expression from Tom Kenyon,
Yeah,
funny.
he's awesome. He's
Those
awesome.
special growth opportunities. Maybe it's the accelerated growth opportunity.
Right. And now as a healer, as a practitioner, I've got a different perspective, and I'll tell you just a quick story about it from a healing point of view. So I've been helping a patient who doesn't have Lyme disease, but who has been undergoing a lot of energetic attacks from non-physical beings, something that nobody wants. And they continued on such a regular basis that it was getting to a point where, the funny, well, not the funny thing, but the thing is with all this stuff is, you're getting to the end of the road with whatever this cycle is, the one that's bothering you so much, when you get to a point where you realize, I'm just so done with this. You're at the bottom. I've heard the expression, you can't rise up until you hit bottom, right? You push up from the bottom. But so it felt like, to me as a practitioner witnessing what this person was going through, I thought, just from my perspective, I'm sick of it. This person must really be sick of it. What's going on? So I interacted with this person's guides and asked, surely there's been enough experience here. Can we work on something to make this stop? The guide said something shocking to me. And the question was a question. So then you want to disrupt her progress.
Ooh.
And I said, wait a minute, what? This is what is this? What do you mean by progress? And they said, these are all lessons. All of them are lessons. So all of these attacks are not horrible beings attacking this person and that person's a victim. These are lessons. And
Because we're co-creators.
Yes. So the idea was to find out what the lesson was in all of this. So, I said, all right, well, what else can we do? And, because then they said, do you want to take on the karma? And I said, no, I don't want anything to do with that. But then I said, well, what is there anything we can do to accelerate this? And they said, well, yeah, but it's going at its own speed. It's because I said something like, well, maybe, all right, I'll just let her experience all this on her own, and I'll step back as a healer. Maybe she needs to do all this on her own. And they said, well, yeah, but there's a 90% chance that the attacks will make her lose hope and they'll take her down. I said, all right, well then what's my role in this situation? They said, your role is to hold space and to teach as you can, but your role is to learn from this as well as a healer. So then you can tell other people about this, but your role is to help, guide. And so anyway, I'm happy to report that it took a while, but this is this situation has stopped. But it didn't stop right away. There was a lot of, lessons to go through, and it was so amazing what these lessons were. But it was absolutely, real and absolutely concrete and amazing. So it's sometimes now it's given me a new perspective as a healer that, I see somebody who's in a really tough disease cycle or a mental cycle or whatever, and they come to me as they want help, through energy work or whatever. And in fact, I had one person one time just contact me and wrote a list of things down, more than a dozen things. And then at the end of it, laughed and said, there, you've got a lot of work to do. And I said, wait a minute. What's your role in this situation? You have to be my partner in this at the very least. So, anyway, so it starts with that. And then it ends up being like, sometimes I'll see somebody in a cycle and then I'll say to them, you're in a cycle and you may not want to hear this, but I have some ideas about this. Some of this may be you need to kind of struggle and figure some things out on your own. And I'm just more or less holding space and helping you from the sidelines. I'm not abandoning you. I'm here for you, but you might need to step up a little more. Like I've noticed it at very least 50%. It's 50% practitioner, 50%, patient. And if the person is just showing up and asking for things to be peeled off of them, and they're really, and then they're going back to their life and they're not changing anything, then they're not participating. They're not adding their 50%. So there's been situations where I've looked at patients and said, hey, I'm noticing a pattern here, and you may need to make some changes, lifestyle changes, or this is not fun stuff to talk about. People do not like, they don't want to do this stuff. But this is what it boils down to. If you really want to heal, look at the things in your life that are contributing to the illness or causing it, and let them go. They're not serving you. They're serving you as a lesson, but that's it. So if you don't want to suffer anymore, look at the things in your life that remain, the things that, and you'll know what they are because you don't like them. They bring up emotion in you, so look at those things deeply, really be honest with yourself on what those things are, and see if you can try to understand why those things are still hanging around. And again, it takes a real spotlight to put on yourself and real honesty about what these things are. And I had to do this myself, and I still do it to this day. When it's not with disease anymore, it's just with regular life. And when things happen in my life where I'm like, wow, that really bothered me. The interaction with a neighbor I had recently, like it really bothered me. And I'm like, what is it about that bothered me? And I had to meditate on it and try to figure that out. But anyway, Wendy, do you have anything to add about, or anything to comment about this from a healer perspective?
Yes, I think part of what you're saying, Greg, is it's helping us move from the place of using things as a crutch to using tools as wisely as we can, and knowing we do need to get help and need to develop some new skills and some new tools.
Yes. Okay, so that said, I'd like to move on to the next slide. Now, this information came directly out of the online group Healing Circle that I host every Sunday afternoon. And if you'd like to join, please go to my website and click on the event tab. And you'll see there every Sunday at 2 in the afternoon East Coast time. In this group, there's a bunch of people who originally they wanted to be healed. Now there's a lot of practitioners and just people who are, I call it a spiritual laboratory now. So we're there to have the experience. So we are doing healing, but we're also getting information, and that information is coming through me as a channel. So the fascinating thing that happened several weeks ago was we were talking about this very topic, like what's going on in the world and these FGO experiences. And the guides came in and said, there's 3 contrast experiences, or whatever you want to call them, disaster experience, FGO experiences. There's 3 types of them. There's 3 lessons. There's 3 main lessons you learn when something horrible happens in your life. Is it a lesson in, oh, I'm sorry. I can't believe it. I'm on the wrong slide. Yes, here it is.
Okay. Those of you who are just listening, it'll be fine.
Yes, here we are. I'm sorry about this.
We got the slides queued up. No worries. You're fine.
So is it a lesson in patience? Is it a lesson in forgiveness? Or is it a lesson in detachment? So, you know, when this information came in, it was such a bold statement. I'm in a meditative state. And part of my mind is like, that sounds really, wow, simple. 3 things. Really, all lessons that we experience it's only 3 of them. So in the back of my mind, I'm trying to, you know, beat it up. You know, I'm trying to say, well, wait a minute, what about this? But let's dig into this and see. To this day, I've not been able to turn this upside down. So the first lesson, the main lesson, when something irritating happens in your life, and this one you see all the time in traffic, or you're standing in line, or just if you're going about your work a day, patience. Your daily schedule is not a life or death situation. So also, I've heard the expression that being busy is not an accomplishment. I so many people that I talk to who are working a job. How did you know, what was your day like? Great, I was busy all day long. Well, what did you do exactly? Well, I don't know. I was doing all kinds of things. I was busy. Well, that itself is not, that's not an accomplishment. And, you know, energetically, the guides don't really want you to be busy. They want you to take time out to still your energy down. They don't want you to be this worker bee, busy, busy, busy all day long, because you're not being mindful and you're not being still. So it also, just in daily interactions, busyness is not an excuse to treat others badly. And, you know, we see it every day. People honking, you know, at each other, people bumping into each other in a crowded street and getting mad. And so back off, you know, relax, be patient with your daily comings and goings, and be patient just with everything that's happening in your life. Do you have things that you want in your life that you don't have now? Are you being impatient about it? Well, that impatience is keeping it away. Right?
Delaying it. Oh, that's interesting.
It is. It's low energy. Being impatient or being upset about it is keeping it away. All right. The second big lesson is forgiveness. And this, I think most people understand this. Forgiveness, we also did a topic on this, and I actually pulled this. Forgiveness it's huge in healing. It's huge in daily life. And according to the entities in the law of one raw material, karma is a form of stuck or inert energy that has a negative effect on a person's life, on your energy flow. And according to them, forgiveness is the key to unlocking that inertia. So you unlock the inertia for the other person. So if somebody did something to you that you don't like, and you forgive them and then forgive yourself, you've completely unwound the karma, unlocked that inert energy, that blockage. And according to the beings in the law of one, these 2 concepts are inseparable, which is one of the most bold things that they've ever say in the book. So karma and forgiveness are you know, like a lock and key. So I mean, you know, Wendy and I've spent a lot of time talking about forgiveness and how important it is to unlocking your own personal energy, unwinding your karma, and even helping with healing. And then the third one in the lessons of experience is detachment. So we've also talked about this before, but attaching to a person, place, or thing gives away your energy and actually can cause stuck energy. So where your possessions begin to possess you. You've heard that term probably, and this can become cyclical behavior or thinking, and you can attach this to a person. So what are other forms of attachment? Well, OCD thinking, addictions. These are all strong attachments to concepts or ideas or substances, and they need to be released for you to have a happy, healthy life. So I just want to mention something very fascinating that Wendy and I put the deck together and last week, and I sent this to Wendy, and it said channeled information, the 4 lessons of experience. Now, Wendy, remember you said, Gregg, I only see 3 lessons on there. Where's the other one? And it didn't appear until Sunday in our last online group healing circle. As a fascinating addendum to this, the guide said, those are the 3 lessons of contrast experiences. The lesson of self-mastery is grace. So what do we mean by grace? So in other words, there are 2 different sets of lessons. So those 3 are, pounding through daily life. You need to have patience, forgiveness, and detachment. Yes, let all of your experiences pass through you. But with grace, that is more of a life mastery or a self-mastery lesson where, according to the guides, love plus wisdom equals grace. And their quote was, walking in grace is walking in the light of the Creator. So moving through each experience with a loving heart and a thoughtful mind. And basically, this is just being a good person, being a compassionate person as you travel through life. It's a state we all strive to reach, but they added that on Sunday. So I just wanted to let you know that interesting.
So they'd set up like a placeholder because you had typed it and sent it to me after one Sunday, and you'd put 4, and that's why there were only 3, because they were setting up the 4th one, which hadn't come through yet.
Right.
At like the next level. Yeah, that's just wonderful.
Yeah. So these are the lessons, and here is the information about how to cycle through these. And this is the 4 stages of how you experience whatever, contrast experience and FGO experience. So the first level of experience is victimhood. Wendy, we were talking about that earlier in the broadcast. So when something bad happens to you, it's normal. And even people who are practicing self-mastery and so forth, when something happens to you, your first instinct is, why me? Oh no, there's something bad happening to me. Some things to try to avoid are blame pointing, or the thinking that life, God, or the universe is against you, that you have bad luck. This is the way it is. It will never change. Basically, this is just hopefully getting to a point that I've even people in the circle last Sunday, there's a couple people who were saying, I get excited, and they're sincere about this. I get excited when something bad starts to happen to me because I know something really great's going to be on the other side. That's
shifting.
That's a great way to be, and it's an unusual thing to say or hear, but it's true. So getting out of the victim mentality will change your whole auric field, your way of thinking, the energy, the frequencies that you're transmitting. And then, once you move through the victimhood, again, this is normal to feel anger or grief, fight or flight, the emotions that you experience directly after having a disastrous or bad experience. This is normal. And from everything I've heard from the guides, they actually want you to experience them for at least a brief time. So to try to shield yourself from anger or grief or these experiences is not the point. I always thought it was. I always thought, the Stoics had the right idea, like negative emotions, try not to experience them as much as you can, but it's not a natural human state to do that.
I believe we came here to experience emotions and to learn how to master them and balance them up.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't mean that we're meant to be non-feeling and be so stoic and so dispassionate that we don't experience emotions. Right.
You're supposed to experience them. And, obviously, it's your choice on how long you do that.
Right.
And now, also, it's with anything with life. So even the good things, you're not supposed to hold on to those for too long either, because then you become nostalgic, and then you have a kind of like a grieving of experiences that you don't have anymore. And that energy drags you down as well. So everything's supposed to pass through you. You're supposed to experience it, think of it this way. If you are savoring a good experience, how long do you do that? That's about as long as you should have anger or grief, roughly around the same amount of time, whatever's normal for you. But any longer than that starts to be a problem, and that energy starts to remain in your auric field and cause trouble.
So you're saying to allow the natural ebb and flow of life, just like waves come in, waves go out.
Yes.
And just like, nature's always changing. There's always new cycles starting. So
Yeah.
it's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it is. And also don't beat yourself up. A lot of people, especially people who are whatever in the healing arts or who are paying attention to this kind of thing, they get upset with themselves. I can't believe I got so mad about that. Or I can't believe I experienced so much depression over this thing. I still do it. And then I remind myself, I'm supposed to feel this. Okay. So it's okay. Gregg, you're normal, whatever normal means, but this is a natural state. You're supposed to have this experience. Now, forgive yourself if you want to, and let it go and move on to the next phase, which is the acceptance learning phase. So once you've been through victimhood and you've gone through the negative emotions, as we call it, the anger, grief, fight or flight, now you need to accept where you are. So let's say you have a car wreck or whatever. That's an easy thing to accept. You're in a car wreck. All right, now you're outside your car and you see your car is all messed up and you're going through the insurance and all that. Be accepting of that. But also with things like disease or, all right, I've got this illness, I've got this injury. This is the way it is. This is not the way it's going to stay. And what do I learn from this? That's how you bridge the gap of I'm accepting it. Now, what is the lesson here? What am I going to learn? Or as my friends would say in the healing circle, what's the next cool thing? Where is this pushing me to this cool, beautiful thing that's about to happen to me? So once you do that, once you accept that experience and you stop fighting and stop resisting it, then you can find the lesson in it. And then you can move on to releasing the energy or gaining something in your life or learning something. Then once you've released everything, you'll know it. You'll have this euphoric experience, and then you have gratitude, and that's kind of the icing on the cake. The gratitude is when you understand that your lesson and your role in it, and you realize the gift of experience you've been given, because that's what this is. This is a gift of experience. So the energetic changes take place, and then the gratitude amplifies that. The guides like it when you're grateful for these FGOs and going through the full cycle.
That's us really doing our work. And I think the expression "you have to feel it to heal it" is very, very true.
100%. Yeah.
If you're stuffing your feelings, your true emotions, if you're just, no, I shouldn't feel angry about this, then it's going to show up later in a bigger way at the most inconvenient time.
Yes, exactly.
So it's important to deal with it. I kind of have the rule of I'm going to deal with it today, because in that exact moment, you can't always really go through and, as you said, meditate, go through the emotional release and start to let it go. But I do it that day before the sun goes down. Just deal with it that day. And
I want to I'm sorry. I wanted to underline what you're saying, because it's very important that avoidance. So, if you want to view it like a dog bite, okay? So avoidance is if you try to avoid that little dog biting you and you're avoiding, there's going to be a bigger dog coming to bite you. They used to have a TV commercial in the 70s now that said, you can pay me now or you can pay me later, meaning you can pay me a little bit now, or, if you have to pay me later, it's going to be much more expensive. And that's the way it goes with this kind of stuff. So it'll be more disruptive if you try to avoid it. You're still going to learn the same lesson, but it's up to you on how easy it can be. So, right. So let's move through this. So Wendy, let's talk about.
All right. So let's go through some examples of what is life like if we choose to spiritually surrender as graciously and quickly as we can. And you've got to be giving yourself enough quiet time so that you're even, feeling and knowing what you're meant to surrender to, or if we flat out, nope, got the message, nope, don't like it, nope, that's wrong. 4 different people told me that, nope, I'm not going to do it. They're all wrong. The not surrender experience.
Right.
So I was really shocked after building my dream house with my mother that I thought was for a lifetime. And I had lived in the Seattle area for many years. And we had the good fortune to build a lovely 2-family home together. It was very hard to get it built. There were years of delays. There was just a lot of things that needed to be overcome. And I really thought we were on the right path, because if you've got so many obstacles, you certainly should also be questioning, is this just a harder path, a slower path? Or is it something that perhaps we're not meant to be doing? But I did get clear indications you're overcoming something from past life energy that was very difficult. Both of you are. So it's going to be a slog, but you absolutely can and should get this house built. So we did. Lived in it happily for years. I was a big part of raising my daughters there, and it was fantastic to have grandma next door. And so many things were wonderful about it. But about 3 years before I moved, and I moved recently, I moved in May of 2023, about 3 years before I moved, I started getting messages from spiritual teachers, from healers, from different people saying, I think it might be time for you to consider moving. I think you're meant to move and to perhaps be doing some sort of a downsize. And I was like, what? What are they talking about? They don't know the history. They don't understand how happy I am here, and what a big accomplishment this wonderful house was, and this amazing property, and just on and on. So it's that, oh, they're all wrong. When you find yourself thinking or saying they are all wrong, there are 2 issues with that statement. Me placing it as they, and it was multiple people. So it was pretty interesting. And then when the messages first started coming up for me to consider going tiny, because I was in a traditional 2,200 square foot home, here you are, the American dream, the 3-bed, the 2.5 bath, the white picket fence, and just to be hearing, maybe you should consider literally winnowing your life down to 399 square feet. It's like, that's not possible. I don't believe that. So it was a big growth opportunity for me, pun intended. I think when I actually realized the importance of it and got on board and did the hard work of going tiny. I had never before in my life gone through every sheet of paper I owned, every piece of jewelry, every lawn tool, everything. Because if you're going to go tiny, you really want to get it down to that like 10% of things that are really meaningful to you. I saved things like my kids' art, some special pieces of that. Certainly I saved the photos. But just so much of the rest, it got easier and easier to just let it go. So that was a big journey to go tiny. That's the pun there. And certainly many of us have seen Tiny House Nation on TV. And what I realized was this doesn't have to be for a lifetime. And you certainly can change along the way. It's like people who embrace van life or converting a bus and, doing it for some time period and just really traveling or, living in an RV or whatever it might be. But think of how much easier a lighter footprint we have on Earth when we do that. Let me bring my dog back in because she's seeing too much outside here. I'm so sorry. Hi, please. She's just narrating everything she sees in the driveway here. So when we just start to realize nothing's forever, it's not meant to be forever. I think it's, just embracing that change and that ebb and flow. And when I started to realize, oh my gosh, there's, people putting families of 2, 3, 4 people in these tiny homes, what if there truly is one that's just perfect for me? And I found it once I just gave myself permission that it didn't have to be forever. And then I could try something really different on, all of a sudden, all the pieces started to click in really well. So I then decided where I was going to move, and decided I'm going to Eastern Washington, move there from Seattle, move across the state, make that 5-6 hour change, and go out there where some family members, where my daughter and son-in-law were moving. So I get everything done to move, which was pretty gargantuan, moving not only me, moving my mother, putting our house on the market, getting it ready to be on the market. So months and months and months of honestly 80-hour weeks, while juggling that in with clients, etc., and making sure to spend good time with friends, because I'm leaving an area I've lived in for 30 years. And to take the time to do that. So I get moved out to northern Idaho. And even before I was moving, like the week before I moved, in my dreams and the few times that I was just meditating for a couple minutes, I could hear my guide saying, and when you get there, you need to take a month off. I cannot tell you how much resistance that kicked up for me.
Yep.
It just really threw me for a loop. I'm like, what? I've gone through all this to be told you need to take a month off. So I'm now arguing with my guides. This
That
is
was
never
a lesson in patience. Your busyness meter went off the scale, right?
did. It did. And it's just never your finer moment when you are arguing with your guides, when you are arguing with angels. These are not your finer moments. So you've got to just really take a look at it, because it just kept coming up. So did I listen? I have to say no. I just have to call myself out. I am human like everyone else. So I got moved to Idaho. I got unpacked as slam dunk fast as I could and just jumped onto the computer. Let's revise the website. Let's get on some podcasts. Let's do this. Let's do that. Greg, your point about the busyness. So I can really jump back into my business now because I moved. It's all accomplished. Just totally ignoring and pushing aside those very well meant and appropriate messages. You now need to take a month off and just settle into your new energy, your new place, your new home. You just need to relax and take a breather. But I kept arguing, that's not what my bank account says. So not a good argument, just not a good argument. What I needed to be doing was just simply asking, great, wonderful. I'd love to do that. I trust that I will be supported. I trust new ways of abundance will come in, but I wasn't capable of having those conversations at that time. So the outcome of this was all that busyness, that work busyness when I first got to northern Idaho led to exactly nothing that was helpful from a work standpoint, from a bank account standpoint, because I evidently needed to reset and just learn some humility. And what I did at that point was like, okay, I'm going to listen. And I then did end up taking approximately a month off. Summer was coming. It's like, okay, I'm going to go enjoy berry picking. I'm going to go figure out how many different places. I'm going to explore this area. I'm going to enjoy the heck out of this gorgeous summer, and that I get the privilege of living in this little lakefront cabin rental. So once I did that, then everything started to turn around. So basically I cost myself a month
Yep.
by just arguing and not being gracious, because the messages were correct. They
Mhm.
were absolutely correct. So I think it's just really important to know ourselves and work with that. And just this picture, for those of you who are looking at this as a PowerPoint, this was the hardest item to give up. So I thought it merited a nice picture. It's a big, beautiful antique china closet. And it was actually mine in a past life in the 1800s. So I was pretty overjoyed to get to find it again. But it's going to find its new owner. I looked at were there family members I could give it to, were there friends who wanted to have to take it, what could I do with it? But because it's 9'4" it really requires a big room and a big high ceilinged room. So it's going to go to its perfect place. It's remained in place at my house, as my house has remained on the market. And just literally today, I learned from the new buyers, no, thank you, we don't wish to have it here. So what I did was I actually chatted with my beautiful vitrine china closet, an antique from Austria, and just told it what was going on. And I told it what we're going to do to attract the new owner. And I told it it's going to be moved and it's going to go to this lovely consignment shop where it's going to get a chance to get admired by so many people. And then its new owner is going to find it from there. And then it'll get moved to its new place. So that's what I did. And that was like the goodbye to literally the last big possession, because 9'4", super large, beautiful, heavy china closets do not belong in tiny homes.
Well, big lesson in detachment too. Amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And, Gregg, at this point, I just truly look at, I enjoyed 30 years with it. I got to have it for 30 years. And to know that I had this piece that I'd had in the 1800s as a sea captain's wife, and to know that it found its way back to me again. And I've got the photos of it, I've got the memories, and I've just got it in my heart.
Yeah.
So that's, and like I said, now I can get excited about it's going to get to be, in a store and just get to have, I know so many people are going to admire it,
Mhm.
and the right person's going to go ahead and buy it.
Yeah.
So what happened after I went through these lessons with these examples of being not spiritually surrendering and then moving into the place where I needed to be, was right around mid-July. I had been 2 months in my new temporary home in North Idaho, and I had the most profound dreams 2 nights in a row. And God came into my dream and said, "Are you ready to command your resources?" And I said, "Heck yes." Thank you for that amazing question, suggestion, opportunity. I had never heard of this concept before, but and I think of God as personally, as this is my personal belief, whatever's appropriate and comfortable for you, substitute any word, any belief system that's right for you of a beautiful, loving higher power. But to me, it kind of comes through as Mother, Father, God. And what I heard was, this is for you to be able to stand in your power fully without abusing it. And this is for you to be able to live your purpose. So that was the context to command your resources. But to hear that verb command there, it was surprising to me. It was a little off-putting to me. So I realized I must have, with that context I just gave, I realized I must still have some victim, some martyrdom that I was still working to shift, and that I just was still needing to fully stand in my power. Because of course, we want to fully embrace our life purpose and that larger soul mission. So that was dream one. And then the very next day, I have the same dream, the same question. And that time I was able to turn the dream lucid, and I actually woke up from it. So we've now gone through the unconscious to the subconscious to the conscious level, and I'm healing across all the levels. And just with the greatest of joy and glee saying, yes, 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 I'm ready to do that. Please show me the way. Please help me align. etc., and just accepted with a lot of excitement and gratitude and humility. Everything then shifted on the third day. It was the morning of my birthday, which I thought was quite interesting that the dreams came the 2 nights before my birthday. The morning of my birthday, I'm woken up and it was like 5:52 a.m. and I heard something land at my front door. I heard, and I thought, oh my gosh, or some sweet neighbor must have like, dropped off some flowers or a card, because I physically heard something there. Um, and so I said to my guides, can I get up and go look? And they're like, nope, nope, wait until 7 o'clock when your alarm is set for and you get up. So at 7 o'clock, I made a beeline to the door, fully expecting to see something physical there on the doorstep. There was nothing there physically, but I wasn't disappointed. I just asked, what was that? What did I hear? What landed? And the answer was, you're now able to command your resources fully. And then just everything changed. It's like my doorbell started ringing and new opportunities, new wonderfully aligned clients came in. I had 2 podcasts go viral, and it just was the most amazing experience. It's like the tribe that I'd been working to build since 2017 finally came in what felt like 3 short days. But of course, it was the culmination of years and lifetimes of work. So just feel a lot of gratitude for that. And I did have a question, because I'd never heard this term before. So I asked my guides, can you please tell me more about what it means to command our resources? And they suggested a podcast for me to listen to. They said, go on there. There's going to be hundreds of programs. You'll know which one to listen to. And I immediately saw it. And the speaker had my daughter's first name, my oldest daughter's first name. So there was a little synchronicity. She was also Canadian, and I was born in Canada, and she was channeling Saint Germain. I love working with Saint Germain. And so the synchronicities were all there. I'm like, oh, this is the one.
Right.
So I started listening to it, and the message was about Saint Germain talking about manifestation, and he was talking about commanding your resources. And to do so wisely, and to be able to do so with humility and just aligning with that higher power. And it was just everything that had come to me on my own. And it was the validation of it all there in a podcast from a channeler I had never heard of before.
Hmm.
So I just thought that was wonderful. Because yes, we have to get our own information and have our own discernment and do our own work. Like you said, Gregg, it's being sent the challenge list of here's the dozen things you need to fix for me or fix in me. It
Right.
doesn't work that way,
No.
because we're still being passive, or still being victims, or like the not gracious side of me. We're still arguing with our guides, and or very accurate, well-meaning friends who are teachers and psychics, etc., saying, Wendy, I think you're meant to move. I know that might sound shocking or not what you want to hear, but I just think you're meant to consider moving. And like I said, they were right. So what landed at my doorstep that day too, it truly was the life of my dreams. So that's just a really big deal to know that we can get through those FGOs and just get on through them, and we can heal our bodies, we can heal our minds, we can heal our spirits, and just get so balanced and centered that we let go of everything that's not serving us or that used to serve us in the past. And just let it go. And I think you're so right, Gregg, because you talked about kind of like clinging to things or people or jobs or situations or locations or whatever it might be. So the next loop and twirl was, okay, so I'm going to be living in this lakefront cabin in Idaho until my park model home, until my traditional home sells and I purchased my park model home tiny home. But no, another little lesson, another opportunity, and this one's not going to be an FGO, came up because my guide started saying, you're going to need to move again. We recommend you move again. You don't need to, but we recommend it. We think you'd be more comfortable if you moved again one more time into temporary housing for the winter. And they outlined the several reasons and said, your time's wrapping up, so go ahead and look for another temporary spot. And you know what? It's sure a lot easier to move when you're down to a couple carloads of things that, and immediately, people offered to help me move and said, oh my gosh, we can get you moved in 2 hours. Because
Wow.
I'm moving from a furnished place to another furnished place. So I just have to literally take, personal the biggest thing I have is this tiny desk that's literally the size of my computer. So it just, it just gets that easy. And I thought, okay, here's the point. This is why people talk about, life on the road and just being able to change direction. And that had never appealed to me, but I thought, okay, I am starting to get this. That's something I needed to learn, was how to pivot more gracefully. So this time I did listen right away when my guides were like, we think we need to have you consider another move in just, so that'll be for 6 months. So I'm going to move early November, having enjoyed the amazing place to get to be here lakefront for the summer, and then just move more back into town and move back to Washington State. And I'm going to actually move to the town where I will be living. So I'll just start learning it. And I gained things called a garage for the winter, because I don't have a garage where I am. There's no carport. And it was being pointed out to me that I was going to be digging my car out of 3 feet of snow.
Yeah.
So just time to embrace the next change and the next adventure. So this time I did it easily after having dragged my feet on a couple of them.
Sometimes we learn, sometimes. So glad. Yeah. And, like you said, it's all about how much resistance do you give? And this is, this is a podcast about spiritual surrender. The more you surrender and listen to your guides and listen to the, the wavelengths coming through, that without resistance, that you get a better outcome for sure.
Yes. Especially if the message keeps coming to you different ways, either to you personally different ways, but you're getting that same consistent message, or if multiple other people are sharing that with you. It's really time to listen, because like, as you said, Gregg, it's going to get more harsh, because we just need to go with the flow. We're meant to go with that ebb and flow.
Yeah, I usually notice if the same message comes through 3 times, you've got my attention. I'm not going to resist at that point, and it comes through in different ways. So absolutely, yeah, definitely.
3 or 4 people had told me to consider that, to consider the possibility that I was meant to move.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yes, absolutely. So I named it Dream a New Dream, because yes, it absolutely was my dream house, but it was time to dream a new dream.
Oh, nice.
That way it's not a loss. It's just the next wonderful chapter.
Everything's changing all the time.
Yes. So which is why don't be attached to it.
Right.
So upcoming events, you're so welcome to join me for a 1-hour complimentary energy clearing and blessing with Q&A. And I've got the dates here as well as on my website. So September 30th, October 4th, October 5th. The dates are not important because this is an ongoing series I offer all the time that you will find on my website at wendyrosewilliams.com. And these powerful group 1-hour Zoom calls and energy healings with Q&A, those have replaced, I used to do one-on-one phone appointments with people, with prospective clients, but just that group energy, just like you, Gregg, with the fire circle, and with also the Sunday afternoons, when you've got the right group, it's just very, very magical.
Yep.
And please, anyone who is in the Seattle area or who would like to visit Seattle, second weekend in October, Saturday, October 14th, from 1:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon, it is my privilege to get to share my near-death experience story and all the related experiences to waking up spiritually at Seattle IANDS. And IANDS, if you're not familiar, that is the International Association for Near-Death Studies. And the Seattle chapter is the oldest support group in the world for people who've had near-death experiences or have had family members or friends that they want to support through that massive change, which is 40 plus years old. And that will tie in with next month, but I'll save that for a second here. And so again, go to my website and you'll be able to sign up for going to Seattle IANDS. It's just donation based to go to that powerful, wonderful group and just meet some fantastic people. I also offer the one-on-one past life healing programs. It is a series of 3 energy healing sessions, a 2.5 hours, so 2.5 hours, and then a few weeks later, a 1-hour session, and a few weeks later, a 1-hour session. And oh my goodness, the higher selves and guides just really come in because we're doing that series of 3. And they are profound. They can be a lot of fun. People do so many different things in them. The mainstay is just releasing the physical and emotional pain, anxiety, depression, PTSD, and getting to the fun stuff. People are planning new businesses. They're writing books. They're remembering how to time travel with their body. They're remembering how to youth and de-age and live hundreds, if not thousands of years in one healthy body because they've got a big life purpose. So it's just how to raise their vibration and frequency, not just to 5D, but 7D, 12D, 32D, wherever their trajectory is. So please join me for some upcoming events. I'd love to have you there. And then join us October 9th. Join Gregg and I and Kimberly Clark Sharp on October 9th for our next Waking Up Spiritually podcast. And Kim is the founder of Seattle IANDS, and she co-founded it 41 years ago with Dr. Bruce Grayson from the University of Virginia, Department of Perceptual Studies. And she will be speaking about her personal near-death experience, which she had in college, and it was the early 1980s, I believe. So it's one of the earliest, really well-documented, profound NDEs. Kimberly wrote a book about it, and she is funny. She's really, really funny. So it's just a great storyteller. You will absolutely just feel better. She's led grief recovery groups for years. She was a social worker for many years at Harborview, and I think you'll just really, really enjoy that. Our Facebook group, Waking Up Spiritually, please join Gregg and I there. We would love to see your questions, see your smiling face in there, and whatever you'd like to share or need assistance with, please go to our website, which is wakingupspiritually.com. And it has all of these broadcasts carefully archived there by Gregg with a wonderful description, and it's got a search box. So if you need more information on energy management, past lives, whatever it might be, you can just pop that into the search box. Visit our YouTube channel is another way to find the past episodes, or rate and review us on Apple iTunes or whatever your favorite podcast app is. We so appreciate you doing that because it helps other people find it as they're searching. And visit Gregg at his website, which is Gregg Kirk, Gregg with 2 G's, 3 G's, Gregg, Kirk, KIRK.com. And you can see the link to the Gratitude Curve, his book, which is on there, which is a wonderful, wonderful chronicle and a testament to him, and just a way of thinking and living in a way where I feel you can be really happy and healthy, and to tune into that. Visit me at my website, which is wendyrosewilliams.com. And that is the best way to contact me, is via the Contact Me website, or via the Contact Me tab on the website. Gregg, anything to add to that?
No, just, well, other than go to my website, join us for the online group Healing Circles on Sunday. On October 23rd, we're meeting for our fire circle in the Woodbury, Connecticut area. So please come join us there. But in the meantime, looking forward to our October 9th
Yes.
podcast with Wendy.
And one more thing about October 9th, if any of you have heard of the case of the red shoe, which is one of those incredible near-death experience stories where there was actual evidence found by someone who could only have found this information and evidence, seen this red shoe, because she was out of body at the hospital, and it was well documented. Guess what? Kimberly Clark Sharp was physically there, present with the woman who coded and had the heart attack. Kim is the person who found the red shoe outside on the ledge and wrote the case study about it. So
Nice.
join us October 9th. We'd love to see you there. And you get to ask Kim questions and you will be laughing.
All
So
right,
thank you,
awesome.
everyone. Thank you for being here.
We'll see you in October. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.